Hi everyone, this is Rufaro and welcome to another episode of She Money Hacks. So if you're new or if you're joining again, um, like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. Tell your uncles, your aunts, your husbands, your cousins, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, tell all of them to come and do these things and get on these hacks. Yeah, so today I'm going to be talking to you about um, high yield accounts. And my question for you is, do you still have your old saving account, the one from 19 blah blah blah, or not, do you still have
Are you still using those old savings accounts that are
not really helping you? So if you are, that's perfect because I'm here to share some information with you about high yield accounts. So, what is a high yield account, right? So, a high yield account is basically a savings account, but it's an improved version of a savings account. And what I mean is that a high yield account pays you 20 to 25 times the national average. So, what I mean is, if you have, let's say, you have a savings account with the bank, and the national average APY, which is the annual percentage yield, is I think it's 0.06%. And if I have $100 in my savings account, oh a bird, if I have 0.6% in my account, my bank will pay me 0.06 percent for keeping my money in their bank. So that means I would get paid 6 cents, right? And that would be like my interest, because I guess that's the opportunity cost. It's them saying, oh, thank you for keeping your money in our bank, blah 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 blah. Compared to if you then had an account with a high yield account, you would then be getting paid something such as like 1% or 0.8% of the amount you have. So again, if I have $100 in my savings account, in my high yield account, I would then be getting paid $1 a month. So 6 cents, $1. It doesn't seem like a lot because we're only using $100, but let's say if you had more. And again, in your savings account, you're not keeping it in there because you want it to grow drastically. No, you're keeping it in there maybe for an emergency, for savings, for something important. But it makes more sense to be getting that 1% than to be getting 0.06%. It makes sense to me. So, yeah. Okay, so how can you open a high yield account? Opening a high yield account is relatively easy and simple. It's just like opening a regular savings account, regular account with the bank. When I opened mine, I did it online. It's not like when I was with the credit union. If you watched my previous video where I had to do it in person, I actually did this online, and I googled up the bank I was going to open with, put in my information. They asked me stuff such as, of course, your name, age, right? They also asked my occupation. So if you're a student, you could put that, entrepreneur, or whatever job you're doing, you include that. How much you're getting paid, you include that in there. They ask you a whole bunch of stuff like that, and it's really easy. There's some that do ask you for a little more information. So they may ask you to send them maybe a scanned copy of your W-2 or things like that to verify how much you're getting paid. But again, it depends with which high yield account you're trying to open with which bank. Get from these high yield accounts, as I mentioned, the amount you can get is higher than with a regular savings account, because Some, as I mentioned, can pay you 1%, 1.08%. That's the highest I'm aware of so far. There could be some higher. And there's some who can pay you 0.8%, 0.9% of the amount of money you have in your bank. And this, imagine this is money you didn't really work for. You know, this is a percentage of money it's free money. It literally is free money. Then what banks have high yield accounts? Where can I open a high yield account? So some banks that have high yield accounts that I have looked at, so there is Citi has a high yield account you could definitely look at. Capital One has the Capital One 360 account, which pays 1%. You could also look at Marcus by Goldman Sachs. This one is new, and I think this opened a few years ago, probably within the last 5 years, and that one as well is also really good. It's like the features on the Marcus by Goldman are pretty cool as well, and it's all online, opening online and everything. So there's that as well. There's so many other banks that do have those, but those are the ones I recommend. Those are the ones I've looked at. But again, you can also do your research in figuring out which one to open with. So some questions to to ask yourself when you're deciding on which one to open with, which bank to open your high yield account with. You definitely want to look at, I guess the most important thing was looking at the history of the bank. You don't want to open with a bank that has a history of just scandals within the management of the bank, just a whole bunch of things. You don't want to open one with a bank like that. Something also to consider is, are there any minimum fee? Hey.
The next thing to consider is
the next question you want to ask is, what is the required deposit that you have to maintain in there? Some do have this, some don't. Is there a minimum that I have to actually deposit? All you need to ask yourself is, what is the minimum balance? Again, some high yield accounts have this, some don't. I think with Capital One, they don't have a minimum balance. You also need to look at the fees. What are the fees that you can incur by opening an account with them? You also need to look at restrictions. Can you link your account to any banks? What are those restrictions like? Because you do not want to be inconvenienced as well. You also want to look at the accessibility. Do they give you a card? Do they have ATMs? Things like that as well. Those are small things that you definitely need to think of before you choose to open a high yield account with the different banks when you make up your mind. So yeah, I'm hoping after this video you've all considered looking at your savings account and actually looking at this information, looking at what the interest rate is. Do you actually have what are the fees, what are the minimum deposits, what are the requirements, all those things that you've looked at with the savings account you have now or the high yield account you have now. And if you're going to open a high yield account, you're going to question these things. You're going to actually read the fine print, because it's very, very, very important to do that. Another thing as well with high yield accounts, I'd forgotten to mention this, is with some of them, if it's linked to a checking account, so like let's say you decide to open one with Capital One and you open the high yield account, which is your savings account, and you deposit money in there and it's linked to your checking, but you don't deposit money in your checking, they can actually close your checking account. This has happened to me before. So that's something else you also want to be aware of. I mean, reactivating it is you just call them and explain the situation, etc. Yeah, but I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, don't forget to call your aunts, your uncles, your husbands, your cousins, everybody to come and watch this video, and to comment, like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. And thank you so much, guys. Have a good day.